Good evening. Welcome to the October 27th, 2020 open session meeting of the Ayer Planning Board to begin at 6:15 p.m. I'd like to read the governor's message. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, Governor Baker issued an emergency order temporarily suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. Public bodies otherwise governed by the Open Meeting Law, OML, are temporarily relieved from the requirement that meetings be held in public places, open and physically accessible to the public, so long as measures are taken to ensure public access to the body's deliberations through adequate alternative means. This meeting will be broadcast live on Channel 8 and on Zoom. The public may participate remotely by following the call-in information on the bottom of the live broadcast screen. For the Zoom meeting information relating to remote participation, please contact Cindy Knox, IT Director at cknox@ayer.ma.us or 978-772-8252 prior to the meeting. Thank you. So our first order of general business is to approve the agenda. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda for the October 27th Ayer Planning Board meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Krantz. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the agenda? Hearing none, all in favor? Excuse me. We have to do this by roll call vote. And again, I'll do it by the squares on my screen, so it may change in order. But this evening starts with Mr. Diskin. How do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Murray?
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Krantz?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Thank you very much. We have no covenant or bond releases this evening, so our first order of business is Catania Oil, the agreement and release pertaining to treed buffer, and the planning board endorsement vote. Did everybody get a chance to see the updated, excuse me, I'm sorry, Mr. Basile and Mr. Brackett, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm assuming that everyone has seen a copy of the updated letter that came out from the attorney's office.
Yes.
Thank you. Jonathan, I can see your head shake, but.
No, I was nodding.
Yes, I know.
I just.
We have to do
my understanding.
Audio so people know that it happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my understanding was that basically we were looking at the same endorsement we saw last time, except that section E about transferring responsibility for maintenance of the trees to the town has been eliminated. Is that a correct understanding?
That was, I had two items on my list. One was section E was eliminated, and under on page 2, paragraph 4, enforcement, the previous version said the town shall, and it has been changed to either party shall have the right to enforce this agreement by appropriate legal proceedings and to obtain injunctive and other equitable relief against any violations. With that being said, is there any further discussion on this agreement? Anything the proponents would like to add?
No, none this time.
Okay, I would accept a motion, please. Thank you all for being patient. I'd accept a motion, please, from one of the members to move that we execute the agreement.
Jeff?
Yes?
This is to Jeff and to Mark. What's the appropriate language when I make the motion? Do I say the endorsement dated such and such a date? Or how do I phrase it?
Yes, Jonathan, you would say, I think October 27th, 2020, reference that date. And yeah, just say, endorsement would be the action.
Excuse me for 1 minute. You did one unique thing, and I'm speaking directly to the folks from Catania. The agreement we got actually says the agreement made as of the 13th day of October 2020, and I'm going to strike that and make it the 27th.
That's fine.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Krantz.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we endorse the Catania Oil agreement release pertaining to the treed buffer dated October 27th, 2020.
Thank you very much. May I have a second, please?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Diskin. Moving second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Diskin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you, Ms. Murray.
Aye.
Mr. King,
Aye.
Mr. Krantz,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye also. Before we close this out, I want to say again, thank you to the folks from Catania for bringing this to our attention. I appreciate it, and I know the town does too. Thank you very, very much.
Absolutely. Thank you, gentlemen and lady. You're muted, Jeff.
It's better that way.
I'm all for that. If I put something down on my keyboard, it mutes me. Thank you. Okay, great. So logistics, what we'll do is we each going to have to sign this. I will make sure I get a copy with the appropriate town heading on it on town stationery, and we will make arrangements to have it signed through Heather's office over at the town hall. We meet her outside and sign it, and we'll get you a copy as soon as we can. Okay? Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
That one's off the list. Next on our list is the continued public hearings for special permit for 14 Washington Street. The item following that is the continued site plan review for 14 Washington Street. If I'm not mistaken, Mark, did we hear from the proponents about this?
Not for tonight's meeting, but Cal Goldsmith and Kyle Burchard are in the meeting right now, so they just entered. So we can ask them about the status of the update.
Yeah. Let me put my question out there. We've had this on our, and I guess this is either Cal or
Good evening.
Kyle. Good evening, Kyle. Nice to see you this evening. Good evening, Cal. Oh man, as soon as you changed your picture, it moved, Cal. You got to be careful about that, but thank you. We've had this on our agenda for a couple weeks. This is kind of an open question. It seems to me like it's kind of just sitting still.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to address that if you don't mind.
If you don't mind, I just want to get a little information on it and find out what's
Yeah, the
going on.
information on it is, I'll take the hit on that for not having that updated back to you. There was with the construction of, or the repaving of Washington Street, we have gone back out to survey the as-built curve to try to update the site plan. We did go through some adjustment to the wording of the application as it was to be merged with 39 Main Street.
Mhm.
It's one of those things where it needs just that final, push out the door. Honestly, apologize for it not coming to you sooner. Again, I believe
that's okay.
Any great amount of other things that come up that it will be shortly in front of the board again.
That's fine. Kyle, I guess the reason I ask is really from a procedural standpoint. When something's on our list and there's supposedly a clock ticking somewhere, I know we're in the world of COVID these days. It just puts us in an odd situation. That's all. Do you think we'll have something before the end of November?
I do indeed. I would like it to remain on and request that it be continued until the board's next hearing. I'm
Okay.
very confident that the substantial portion of the work is done, and it just needs its final push out the door, as I mentioned.
Perfect. Thank you. I thank you. That's you've done a great deal to alleviate. I didn't want to be in a situation where we were fighting because it's sad. You know what I'm saying? Oftentimes people will step away without prejudice and ask to bring it back in the future. I think that's pretty much where we are right now, and I appreciate the information. So, Mr. Krantz, if you don't mind.
Yes, I will. I'm going to do these each in turn because I believe that that's what's required. So I'd like to make a motion that we extend the discussion of the public hearing for the special permit for 14 Washington Street to the next Ayer Planning Board meeting on November 10th, 2020.
May I have a second, please?
A second, but do we need to change the wording to continue the hearing instead of extend the discussion? Just not sure.
Please, if it's friendly to you, Mr. Krantz, we'll continue the hearing. Thank you.
Yes, I make a motion that we continue the public hearing for the special permit at 14 Washington Street to the next Ayer Planning Board meeting on November 10th, 2020.
Thank you.
Second.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Mr. Diskin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Murray?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Krantz?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Thank you very much. Mr. Krantz, would you do the honors for the next
Yes.
agenda item?
I make a motion that we continue the site plan review for 14 Washington Street at our next Ayer Planning Board meeting on November 10th, 2020.
Thank you very much. May I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Diskin. Any further discussion? Mr. Diskin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you. Ms. Murray?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. King.
Aye.
And Mr. Krantz?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, so we will have those on our agenda for the next meeting. Kyle, thank you for bringing this information. Thank you for bringing that information, letting us know what happened. It's been floating a little bit. The next on the agenda is the continued review, the amended site plan for Ayer Solar 2B. My notes say presentation of revised plans and discussion of review schedule. That pretty much what we're going to, yeah, Mr. Diskin?
I have to recuse myself now.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. How should we call you? Let you know you're back in?
Just get
I'm just going to do some documents right here and just turn me back on. I'll be around.
Thank you very much. Okay. Waiting for Mr. Diskin to disappear. Cindy?
like straight out of Star Trek. He just.
Yeah. May we please remove Mr. Diskin from the meeting for a
Oh, I'm sorry.
period of time?
I was listening, but it didn't sink in.
That's quite all right, Cindy. Thank you. He's disappeared from my screen, so I'm going to assume he's not here. Where was I? Okay. Presentation of revised plans and discussion of the review schedule. Who wants to, Mark? Can you fill us in with what happened since our last meeting, please?
Yes, since the last meeting, the Air Conservation Commission voted to issue an order of conditions for the project, which I was very pleased to see. So the version of the plans that they reviewed for that order of conditions was the revision of October 19th, 2020, which was sent to you last week as part of the packet. Also, Mark Wetzel and Dan Van Schalkwyk at DPW have reviewed the plans. They were looking at a slightly earlier version, however, the September 15th, 2020 version of the plan, from which there are probably, minor changes that the Conservation Commission reviewed. So I would like, I think it would be good to ask Kyle and Calvin, what changed from one to the other and what the outcome was of the Conservation Commission meeting. Also, yesterday we received comments from Mark Wetzel and Dan with their recommendations as to some of the technical items that should be addressed, and also some general recommendations for how the planning board should proceed, such as by discussing bonding, also making a formal request of the DPW to assist with that determination. And, so that we can, hopefully in the month of November, act on this plan as well. So my recommendation for the evening would be to first get an update from the proponents on what has changed, how the October 19th plan differs from the September 15th plan. And then I would suggest that we go through the memo that I sent out today with a few points as to what we need to resolve before the planning board can act on the plan.
Thank you. And Mark, I'm going to double check our dates. I think you said September 19th, September 15th.
Oh, 15th, excuse me.
It's I believe the plan dates are 9/15/20.
Correct.
And the other one is 10/19/20.
Yes.
Okay, so
Correct.
those are the two plan sets I have and I've been working with. Okay, great.
Yep.
Thank you. I know how that can get confusing. So, okay, thank you. Mr. Burchard, excuse me, would you please take us through what happened?
Sure. I'll, if I may share my screen, that would probably make it the easiest and quickest. But I guess before we jump into that realm, the September 15th plans showed a culvert that was straight, perpendicular to the driveway. Upon consultation with the Air Conservation Commission and their consultant, we shifted the culvert and rotated it so that it is now skewed crossing the driveway. There was also some tree topping areas in the buffer adjacent to the fenced solar area, and that tree topping has now been removed in the 1019 plan. So two things: the skew of the culvert and the removal of the tree topping in the buffer. So I'll just quickly jump to.
I know you asked to share your screen. It says on mine that one person can share their screen. Can you?
Well, I was unable to actually share the screen to make it do what I want to do.
Here we go.
Let me try.
It's working.
Let me try.
There you go.
Whoops, that's my bad. Sorry. And then here is the actual drawing. I'll start at the beginning at this. I'm used to having two screens to be able to manipulate this a little bit better, but let me do my best. So this is this is the area of the culvert crossing the driveway, and we see a slight skew to the culvert now, and I'll show you a blow up of that. But then over deeper into the project adjacent to the solar field here, the fenced solar arrays, there had been, from the 50-foot buffer to the 25-foot buffer, there had been an area where there would be some tree topping to reduce the impacts of shading on the solar productivity. And so that has been removed. So I will just jump back here to go and get to the sheet that is showing a bit more detail about this culvert crossing here.
And Kyle, can I ask, what sheet is that you're actually looking at?
This sheet now is C4.5.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Sure. So with this culvert, and I don't have a convenient comparison of this versus the previous culvert, but the previous culvert was approximately crossing perpendicular to the driveway right at this location. The idea of the Conservation Commission was to rotate it so that they just wanted to have it not cover the existing intermittent stream channel banks, which are, there's a line here that represents one bank, and then there's a line over here that represents the other bank. And so we were able to achieve that with a culvert that is approximately 3 feet wider in its span and approximately 7.5 feet longer in its length. And this is produced because of a couple of factors. Number one, having to do with the angle of the wing walls that are needed to support the earth that is the driveway going over, as well as the driveway needing to come up about 7 inches above what it previously was in order to get over this slightly taller culvert. And we also had to maintain a overflow for drainage from this large complex of drainage over here. So overall, this is what we ended up with from the various constraints and requests of the Conservation Commission at the stream crossing. So along with that, there was about 500 square feet additional wetland impacts, and a slight adjustment to the limits of work and the erosion control. And that was that. I received the comments today from Mr. Archambault I'm not sure that I had seen the previous ones. I'd have to check. Oh, those are from 2017, and we're re-highlighting those. So I was out most of the day. I was not able to review all these comments. I do not want to waste the board's time, but I do not want to allow any significant questions to go unanswered that would inhibit our ability to close this as soon as possible. There was one comment I did note which said, just daylight the intermittent stream channel, and that's not feasible because I'm sure, as the board is aware, the abutters to the property, including this abutter, have filed a lawsuit against the applicant as well as the town of Ayer, and so there is no relationship to allow for work on their property without permissions, and because of the lawsuit, it would be unexpected for such permissions to be granted.
Okay.
So,
yeah. Thank you, Kyle. May I ask a quick question about
Yes.
that? And you said the request is to daylight the intermittent stream. If I'm looking at that, at the drawing that's right in front of us, and please don't move your mouse for a moment.
Whoops. Yeah.
Don't. Right about where your mouse is sitting, that is the perceived. Is that where the intermittent stream is supposed to be?
So, in my opinion, if you look at all of the topography on both sides, on the abutters sides and on the side of the project, this stream channel would naturally swing much farther out this way to the east before it followed its natural path. This was artificially cutting off the natural stream flow based on the topography on both sides.
And that's an existing culvert that was put in place there by somebody else.
So this stone culvert has been there for many, many years.
Good, thank you. So we're basically talking about the, yes, I'm making the assumption we're talking about the stone culvert that has been there. And now I see you note farther down that says partially obstructed or collapsing. So that's the same topic. That's the same area we've discussed in the past.
Yes, I believe the intent of the comment would say, assuming that the intermittent stream channel follows where the existing stone culvert is, open that up to allow for an open channel flow to continue there rather than this stone culvert.
Yep.
And we would, love to have that solution. It would simplify some things, but it's not a very practical solution given the environment we're working in.
Thank you. Any questions from other board members about that?
Just one question, please.
Thank you.
Kyle?
Yes, sir.
If anything should happen, and I know this is not your responsibility, but I'm just curious, if anything should happen to that stone culvert, if there's some damage, what would the impact be on the overall design and just the structure that you're creating? What would happen?
Well, I think that an esteemed member of the town has questioned the constructability and methods to be employed in this project, and I think it would behoove the planning board to understand that there is unlikely to be any heavy construction traffic that crosses over top of this, and that the heavy construction traffic would be focused in the area of work over across, going across the stream channel. We went to some lengths to describe to the Conservation Commission that this is the case. This is our expectation. We included in our application that was approved the disturbance of this stream bank along the entirety of the culvert with a restoration of that bank, because this is intended to be the primary pathway of all the heavy construction traffic that will come through. This crossing is the first major piece of work to be done after the clearing of trees, and will have to be in place to get all of the equipment and materials up to the solar field to construct the facility. So I'm not sure, did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Thank you very much.
Good thing. Thank you.
Any other questions from members of the board? I'd like to, go ahead, Nathan. Yes,
Chair,
please go.
I have I don't know if this is where, like you answered Jonathan's question. I appreciate that, Kyle. But if that stone culvert were not there, would this solution still work? Will the water still make it through your bridge?
Actually, it would. In fact, because of the condition of the culvert, the unknown actual flow capacity of that culvert, we presumed a certain portion of it to be obstructed. And if it were to completely collapse on its own at some point, somehow anyway, it's evident that it does bypass this in a large storm event. And so that would still continue to be the case. The grading allows for any bypassing water to reach the large new arch culvert and flow through just fine. We would certainly be open to that opening of that, but we just don't have the permissions to do so. If that were to happen, it would not affect the function of this culvert or the overall drainage for the project.
Thank you.
Thank you. I had a couple of questions I was going to ask about, if you don't mind. If I'm out of sync with the timing, let me know. You mentioned a moment ago that you expected the majority of the work to happen in the area of the roadway for the heavy equipment and stuff. You mentioned the tree removal. Is tree removal going to happen in phasing, or is the tree removal, do you know if the tree removal is going to be done all at once? Just curious.
I would expect that the majority of tree removal at the front end of the project would occur first. To be able to get the culvert installed, since that's a key element to be able to get to the back part of the project.
Yep.
This will be very tight and very controlled from a removal of trees standpoint, and the work as a traffic management plan is noted in our plans that's required. One was already developed when this project almost went to construction after being fully permitted in 2017. So we would follow the same traffic management plan that has already been provided once to the DPW as part of that application, which then ceased. It stopped. So I can't speak for the contractor who will take this on as to exactly what their plan will be. I would anticipate that this first front area will be cleared out first, or to allow for all the materials for the construction of the culvert, the walls, and the driveway to be done, because that will be necessary for the larger trucks to traverse back to the other part of the site, and it will be used to remove some of the trees that are then cut in the back part of the rest of the site.
That was an assumption I was making, but I'm not willing to make
Well,
assumptions.
it's an assumption on my part as well. I cannot prescribe the means and methods of the contractor.
Right.
No, I appreciate it. The second thing I was curious about, and you don't need to go back to the culvert, but are there going to be any O&M guidelines for the culvert? Or is it just going to be left natural? I don't know the answer to that question, but when Mr. King asked about what should happen if the stone culvert collapses or fails, is there any recommendation? Can you talk to that, or is that way outside the scope of this?
The culvert is going to require almost no maintenance.
Right.
The meander of the channel, whatever happens from the flow, I think if there is a very large storm event, it will need to be checked. Certainly, if there's any debris that falls that is starting to block the culvert, although if a tree falls but it's not landing on the ground to block flow on the ground, that may be desirable. Being that it is within the buffer zone of the Conservation Commission, they might prefer it not to move. The flow through this culvert being nearly 12 feet wide is far in excess of what is needed for the flow. It's 11 feet 7 inches wide and 2 feet 10 inches tall. That's just to the base of it, but there's another probably foot, or it varies as the stream is sloped, but there's another foot approximately to the center line of the stream. So you have an enormous capacity for flow. If this culvert was 80% blocked, it could still pass the peak 100-year storm coming through it by the calculations.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much. Other questions from board members? Okay, thanks. Mark, do you want to cover the topics in your memo today?
Yes.
Please.
I'll start with a short excerpt from Mark Wetzel's memo to the planning board dated October 26th, since this will lead into the other recommendations. Mark wrote, the DPW did not review the project stormwater management and infrastructure design. This review is part of the Conservation Commission's peer review. The Ayer Planning Board should coordinate the stormwater system design review with the Conservation Commission. Ayer DPW will provide additional review or comment if requested by the planning board.
Thank you.
So my recommendation, I think it's a good idea, even though, I'm sure that the peer review consultants for the commission did an excellent job. I think it would be a great idea for the DPW to just give it a quick check to make sure that it's in compliance with our standards and that they're happy with that. And so I think the board should make a motion to that effect. And also one other thing that he wanted to highlight in his memo to us and to the applicant was the DPW recommends that the planning board require a construction bond, maintenance bond, and decommissioning bond. And he referred us back to the letter that he wrote in October of 2017 to that point. My recollection is that back in 2017, the planning board required a covenant and a decommissioning bond, but not the other two forms of surety. So that's something that we should discuss. But I think in order to get DPW to give us their final review of the plan, I think I have a motion prepared, which I think would take care of that, if you'd like me to read that. I recommend the planning board make a motion to ask the Department of Public Works to review changes from the October 19th plan to the stormwater system design review, and also to assist the planning board in determining bonding amount, schedule, and timing after receiving a schedule of values from the applicant's engineer. So that would be the totality of what we would be asking from the DPW.
Okay, and Mark, if I may, I think that covers both items 3 and 4 of your memo today.
Yes.
Okay. In order to ascertain the amount of bond and surety that we need, we would need to have a schedule of values in order to do that. So that seems to me to be fairly straightforward. I don't remember offhand. My memory just isn't that good. But the last time we went through this, I believe there were some single family unit, not single family, there were some, was it 4 other parcels that were involved in this? Or 2?
It was 2.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, there were 4 properties that had been associated with this at the onset and the previous approval. If I may just try to illuminate a little bit further on that topic. This Actually, let me, if I may, just go back to the cover sheet, which should help us with that greatly.
Yeah, thank you.
So this vicinity map depicts map lot 13-1, which is a big C shape. There's another lot 13-2. Now, there had been a previous, I forget the number of what it was, but there was a previous lot that was out here that is, I want to say 4-39. And that lot was then by A&R merged under common ownership to lot 12-1, which had a frontage on Pleasant Street. And those two were combined in the land records to be just one lot, 12-1. I'm not sure where else your question goes from there, but those.
No, we'd gone through a couple of, the reason I'm asking is I seem to recall there were, I think there was also a lot that was closer to Washington Street, discussed at one point and things like that. I don't believe it's perfectly germane to our conversation here, but a covenant is typically something against a multi-lot property.
A multi-lot project for sure.
Exactly. So that puts us in a situation, I'm sorry, a multi-lot project, yes, excuse me. So that puts us in a situation where we would need to do some work around bonding and stuff. Okay, thank you. I would be curious how long it would take the DPW Mark, you're asking the DPW go through the process of looking at the peer reviews work on the stormwater?
Very, very quickly. I think that is normally how things would have been done without peer review. So I think, it would be quick. It's just, sort of a perfunctory thing to check their work, so to speak, to have a second set of eyes on it.
Okay.
But not to do starting from scratch and do all the calculations.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Goldsmith.
We went through an exhaustive review process with three different consulting engineers, one looking at the stormwater and wetlands, one looking at the engineering separately, and then another one looking at the solar piece of it, which is mostly to do with the tree topping. But it was a very exhaustive review. It was a gauntlet we had to run. It took quite a while and spent a lot of money doing it. I would just ask that we not go back and redo that just because it's different, because this is a different board. I would much prefer, if the board has questions, if they want to review the consultant report, but please don't put us back through that again, because it would be a long process. And I'm not sure how you do a quick review and really learn anything. I mean, if you're going to do it, you got to do it. You can't just scan it. It's not going to tell you anything.
No, I do appreciate that, Mr. Goldsmith. Thank you very much. I think you can tell by the reason I'm asking is I can understand that the calculations have been done by capable professionals, and I would expect them to be correct. And I can also understand, quite honestly, that there may be some question about it. So I don't know exactly what that level of review would be. I don't want to send the DPW through the entire process.
Mr. Chair, yes.
And we are beginning, and we do work with professionals outside of town. I guess the way I would word it is this. A belt and suspenders approach would be to discuss it with the DPW and make sure that the DPW feels that, to the language I use, the generally acceptable processes, procedures were put in place, and it looks to be correct. But I am not, Mark, I'm not willing to, I don't believe I could ask the DPW to go out and do the calculations.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, I wonder also what the quick review would entail, it's very vague and non-specific. I do think that the DPW has asked some pertinent questions about the main portion of the drainage at the front of the project, and pertaining to the retaining wall design, as well as the back pressure that could be developed. I think they would understand having the project be designed by professional engineers, stamped by professional engineers, and reviewed exhaustively, as Cal has stated, by professional engineers to their satisfaction. That may be adequate, and we would move forward to address the DPW's comments as they've been put forth. Without,
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Ms. Mark, please.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Really, I wasn't contemplating DPW doing a full engineering review after all that's been done, just to give a quick view to make sure that they're comfortable with the work that was done by the, reviewing essentially the peer review reports. And, just saying, hey, looks good with us, and get that information back to us.
Yeah, I guess I'm struggling with, I don't exactly know what that, what the ask is.
Mr. Chairman,
what the finished product of that ask would be. Yes, Mr. Goldsmith.
So the problem with asking an engineer to just do a quick review and then tell us that they're okay with it is, as soon as a professional engineer reviews a set of plans and says, yes, I'm good with it, that means that they're taking responsibility at some level for those plans.
Yes.
And so a quick review, no professional engineer is going to do a quick review and say, yeah, they look good to me.
Right.
It's just not going to happen. They're going to say, well, I can't do that unless I do a full review. Otherwise, you can't hold me responsible. I have a professional license. It's just not how you do it.
I appreciate that. And I was laughing not because of, I was laughing because I ran against this the other day. One of my sidelines is to be a bicycle mechanic. And somebody brought a bike they bought off the internet to me. And Calvin, you may understand this. They put it together with the front fork on backwards.
Oh!
And they couldn't get the chain to work. And they wanted me to help them fix the chain. And I stood there. And as you said, Mr. Goldsmith, just now, if I touch it, I got a problem. There's a shop sign above my head. And I'm the last guy. I own it.
Right.
So I just, what was interesting was the fork was on backwards and the word rear was actually stamped on the fork and it was facing forward.
I don't think we've done anything like that.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I've spoken with Mr. Wetzel about this. And for the same reason you just said, Calvin, I don't want to be the one holding the bag on this, but I know Mr. Wetzel has asked his staff to look at the portions of this that were not involved with the peer review. And I think it's...
yeah, that's appropriate. I agree with that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I think your peer review, your professional stamps own the wastewater, the stormwater calculations.
Absolutely.
The outside of what the DPW did. And the DPW focused mostly on the Washington Street entrance from the road and some portion of the road. Am I correct, Mark?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Having Dan and Mark look over the shoulder of three different firms that did the work, I'm not sure it's going to get us anything.
Right.
How do the other board members feel about that?
Agreed.
Ms. Murray or Mr. King, do you have any?
I agree.
Thank you. And I see Ms. Murray's nodding her head in agreement and has a thumbs up. Okay. So, Mark?
Yes.
I think it's important that we hang on to the discussion for bonding and the motion for bonding for both construction, maintenance, and decommissioning.
Right.
And I remember the decommissioning conversation from Ayer Solar 1 and Ayer Solar 2 originally.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. Krantz.
May I ask a question?
Of course.
Please? In a previous meeting, Cal made a very compelling case regarding use of covenants versus bonds on a different project, and I very much would like to hear Cal's opinion and Kyle too, if he'd like. Do these bond requests, construction, maintenance, and decommissioning, seem reasonable and fair to you, or do you have some questions and issues that you'd like to discuss?
So a bond request for decommissioning and maintenance, I don't really have a problem with. I think that's fine. But to bond the entire construction cost doesn't make any sense in this case, simply because we've got to do the vast majority of the work just to get back to the site. We can't get our trucks back there if we don't do the work. So to bond for it in addition to for the construction just doesn't make any sense. Maybe it's the final coat of paving you want to bond for, when assuming that they don't actually do that before they start constructing solar farm. I have a feeling they'll do the paving pretty quickly for erosion control purposes, though.
Yeah.
I think if you had an agreement that you would look at the project after the roadway was constructed and see at that point, after the access was constructed, and say before you start the actual solar field, you want us to give you a schedule of values of what needs to be done further, and for protection of any additional properties, which are all co-owned at this point. And there is only one house lot left potentially out of the two that were originally proposed, and Rohit has absolutely no plans of doing anything with that until the solar project is completed. But in any case, I think it makes sense to have, they're going to spend the vast majority of the money on this roadway just getting it in. And then once you get to that point, you could look at it and say, okay, so we want a bond for this or this. But in solar projects, they typically have a bond at the end of the project for removal and restoration that you were talking about, and a maintenance bond of some sort would be reasonable as well.
It's very much kind of similar to what I was thinking. The logic of the maintenance bond and the decommissioning bond are solid, but the construction thing I was wondering about, because this is a very different context from a subdivision with different units that are sold over time. This is one road solar field, and it's a very different kind of context. So your comment is well taken, Cal, about what's the true extent of a meaningful construction bond within this context, and I think that should be considered carefully.
I agree. Thank you.
But, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. King.
If the road, it does sound like there were some risks with the abutters that is there even a possibility that the road could not be completed, and then we would have to decommission and restore before the culverts put in? Is that a possible scenario? And if so, should we consider bonding that?
Bonding the section of the project that includes the
access road.
Construction of the road. And I'm assuming the construction of the road we're talking about, if I remember the plans correctly, the road itself is paved to somewhere in vicinity of it's not even to the culvert. Am I correct?
That's correct.
It's paved up towards the culvert, but I don't offhand. I can't.
150
exactly.
feet, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We want to keep the impervious surface as minimal as possible, but still have a stabilized entrance road.
Well, I appreciate that. But our pervious calculations deal with asphalt and packed roadways, pretty much the same. So, okay, how far in is the culvert?
The culvert is at station almost 500. Let's see.
I like your computer. I can see it.
Yeah, sorry about that. It's
good.
It's 4 and change, 489 or so.
Yeah, exactly. It's close to 500 feet.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you. So that what brings to my mind, Mr. King, is the road up front is obviously something we can take a look at and figure a bond for. And I imagine the culvert is something we can take a look at. And should this go the wrong way and the culvert's partially constructed, I think that's one of the things we probably want to make sure that we are able to restore.
Yeah, I agree. That it sounds like the Conservation Commission is very concerned about that stream there, and
Mhm.
we don't want to have a half completed. Not that we'd expect it, but it sounds like there are risks with the abutters.
What, if I may, when you're
Yes.
talking about restoration, let's just take the possibility that the driveway gets partially constructed or something. This is still the only access to that back property. So that I don't know if that factors in, and I'm not sure what the concern is about the abutters, because the resolution with the abutters is that this alignment that is coming back before the Concom that's been approved and now is before this board. This is what that negotiated solution to the dropping of the lawsuit involves. So if the road never gets built, they would be just fine with it, but it also serves as the only access to that property. So I'm not sure if that clarifies that point or addresses that concern.
Thank you. I think that's interesting. That's actually good information, Kyle. Where I am on this is, we're living in a very uncertain world right these days, and I apologize to that. Can't apologize for it, but I'm trying to figure out, should the project, the culvert gets, for whatever reason, doesn't get built, but it gets prepared for build. Does the road, you dig the hole for the culvert across the access way, and the project stops. You see what I'm saying? So I'm I don't have a good answer. I don't think anybody on the board has a good answer for this. Mark, do you have anything you want to recommend?
Well, tomorrow, Joanne and I will be Zoom meeting with Mark and Dan to discuss their review.
Okay.
The final set of review and comments of the planning board. So we can discuss this with them and what they see is what is needed for the bonding in terms of the culvert and the paved part of the road, et cetera.
Yep. I'm also willing.
It's probably premature to really get it all set right now. But what I was going to do was, we'd have our staff meeting, and then at some point soon thereafter, I think it would be good for DPW and staff here to meet with the proponents to discuss working out the details of the bonding.
Okay. I'm sensitive. I'd like to get this going forward. We've done an awful lot of work. We're getting to the point where we're looking at the goal line, to use an analogy, but we're getting close to the goal line here. So I don't want to lose the momentum that we've got. So I would also like to actually get some input from DPW on what they were actually asking for. So I don't know that we can do a motion this evening on this, but.
Mr. Chairman, if I may make a suggestion?
Yes.
The cost of restoration of whatever conditions you may find yourself in partway done are still going to be far less than the cost of actually building the road. The town really has no requirement to build the road. If they got it halfway done and stopped, the only people that lose are the project proponents. The abutters, as Kyle said, would be thrilled. And the towns, normally when you bond it, you're bonding it because the town would then have to step in and complete the construction of the road.
Yeah. No, I thank you. I understand that. I think that's one of the reasons why.
So I guess my suggestion would be, when Mark has his discussion with the DPW, could they look at it from the standpoint of, if it gets part of the way done, what would be a suitable amount to reserve as a restoration account rather than a construction of the full roadway?
Yeah.
So if the road takes $500,000 to build, but you can restore it for $50,000 when it's partway done, that would be a much easier thing to swallow than bonding a $500,000 roadway.
Well, I appreciate that. And, as Kyle said earlier, I assume the construction is going to start at the curb cut. And that's a lot of expense at the curb cut.
Yep.
And, that's going to be completed fairly quickly. I mean, depending on when the asphalt plants are open, it may not get a top coat. But it's going, this is what I'm struggling with is the improvements to the access to the property. At what point will there be something that, if they dig the trench for the culvert, it doesn't go in for whatever reason. I'm trying, making up a for instance, that would be the restoration would have to happen. They start working on the head walls and they mound up material that's going to have to be brought down. As you pointed out, it may not be expensive. So I'd like to actually get a feeling from professionals on our side of exactly what they're looking for in the way of security.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Exactly.
I appreciate that because we wait for a schedule of values, but I don't see that, that schedule of values would include the basis for the solar panel array and stuff like that. So we have to be very careful on what we define as part of the value that needs to be bonded for.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may, just extend
please.
upon, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Just extend upon what you were saying and just trying to put some boundary limits on what would be of concern to the town, to the Conservation Commission especially. So, what might make the most sense, since the clearing of the trees is the clearing of the trees for the driveway, which would be the access out to that back property. Your worst case scenario, which is a good one to look at, is it's on this is an arch culvert that's on strip footing, so it'd be two trenches essentially dug for those strip footings. But let's say that happens, and those disturb the bank of the stream, so there's a restoration cost to that stream channel to be put, restored so that it can still flow and it has proper banks. And then also we have to look at the fact that the presumption would be that the BVW, the wetland disturbance, has also occurred on this worst case scenario at this time, so that these wetland replication areas, this is wetland replication area number 2, and then this is, number 1 is over here.
Yeah.
So, presuming that, the restoration of the stream and these 2 wetland replication areas, whatever those are priced at, would probably be an appropriate amount that covers all concerns. It's just a thought.
Yes, Kyle, that's what you're thinking. I'm looking at the wetland rep. I don't have access to a large set of plans to look at them all, but that's pretty much what what I'm getting at is, usually it's easy binder for all the properties, but this is as Mr. Krantz points out, it's kind of a one and done. So, okay. I think we're probably all pretty much on the same place, on the same wavelength with this right now. And Mark Archambault, I'm going to ask. I'm sorry. Sorry, Mark. Whenever we talk about Marks, we have to always say the last name because there's so many Marks we have to deal with. If you don't mind having that as a part of your conversation, I will also follow up with DPW if necessary.
Yes,
to discuss that also and hear what he has to say. Is there anything else on the memo that we would like to discuss with the proponents at this point? With Kyle and Calvin?
Just, I think that Mark Wetzel again, he asked the planning board to make a request of DPW for assistance in determining the performance guarantee, whatever type of performance guarantee is, and after receiving a schedule of value. So that'll at least just set in motion their formal assistance on that.
Yep. You'd like a motion to ask?
Yes.
Okay. If I may, to paraphrase, item 4 on the memo for today says, I recommend that the planning board make a motion to formally ask Superintendent Wetzel for assistance determining bonding amounts, schedule, and timing after receiving a schedule of values from the applicant's engineer. That's what you're talking about, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. May I have a motion, please? I think that's perfectly reasonable. May I have a motion, please? Mr. Krantz?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that the planning board formally ask Superintendent Wetzel for assistance in determining the bonding amounts, schedule, and timing for the Air Solar 2 project.
Seconded.
Chair.
I could sound
I
like Jeff.
apologize for that. I had an animal at the door. Tearing it apart. Thank you for the motion. Did anybody second it?
Yes,
Yes.
Julie did.
Said your part.
Thank you. My office is next to the back door and the cat was trapped between the doors. It's moved to second. Any further discussion?
Just one item, and I do appreciate what Kyle and Cal said. They really brought it home for me. Should we state that the interest is in restoration, not continued development?
I don't know that that's necessary, given the conversation and what a bond is typically for restoration.
Okay.
So I'm open either way, but I would say that. I'm going to go by boxes on the screen. Julie, Miss Murray, you're first.
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Rats?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Thank you. Mark, anything else that we need to?
No, I would just, let Kyle and Cal know that, you should be receiving a call from me later this week or beginning of next week to set up a meeting with Mark and Dan to work this out or, start working it out. So that when we come to the next meeting of the planning board, we'll have, a lot more of these details hammered out.
That'd be great.
Yep.
And I appreciate it. And if I will make this request of the proponents of Calvin and Kyle, should something come up that we need to know about, by all means, please bring it to our attention.
Certainly.
Thank you. At this point, I think we're, unless you, sorry, Kyle and Calvin, we got off the track a little bit. Is anything else you want to include at this point in the presentation on this? Or are we in good shape?
I think we're good for now. Kyle?
Appreciate that. Okay, so I would entertain a motion to continue the review, please, from a board member.
Oh, yes. I'd like to make a motion to continue the review of the amended site plan of Air Solar 2B to the next Air Planning Board meeting scheduled for November 10th, 2020.
Seconded.
Thank you, Julie. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Ms. Murray?
Aye.
Mr. Krantz?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. So when Kyle unshared his screen, you all got rearranged in front of me. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Yep, thanks. Next on our list is a town planner update.
Okay,
Excuse me.
Should I let Ken back in?
I was holding my finger up. Yes, Cindy, please, would you invite Mr. Tiskin to join us again? And Cindy, I'm trying to get you home in 10 minutes, okay?
Oh, I'm home.
oh,
Still trying to get her home in 10 minutes.
That's your office wall behind you, Cindy, I thought. Hey, Cindy,
I love it.
Flanagan's Pond, that's today's picture. We'll have a different one every
Very nice.
week.
There's so
Okay.
many beautiful.
Welcome back, Mr. Diskin. You're on mute, sir.
Ken, you're still muted. You hit the button twice. There you go.
I'm asking him to unmute. There we go. Okay, Ken. Welcome back, Ken.
Thank you. I'm back.
Thank you. So we're at the town planner update and announcements.
yes, I received a email from the Northampton Planning Director asking if we're still interested in having a workshop on bonding and performance guarantees with him.
Mhm.
And, I told him that right now, we have some big plans that we're wrapping up and, that I would get back in touch with him. I'm hoping that, say we act on the Solar 2 and Washington Street by the end of November, that we could perhaps entertain him for a December meeting, if we have a light meeting in December.
Yeah, for everybody, I think this is something that's worthwhile. I'm sure I said this before, but we've been busy. So I think we'd like to do it, Mark, if you don't mind asking him that, as our
Mhm.
schedule opens. Now, I'm looking at the schedule for December, the calendar, excuse me. November, we're on the 10th and the 24th. The 24th is close to Thanksgiving, but I think it's going to be fine to have the meeting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
In December, I'm sorry to get us offline, but I was going to bring this up anyway. December, we're on for the 8th and the 22nd. Again, I think that's going to work for both. So depending on on our level of activity, Mark,
Mhm.
maybe December 8th, I'd suggest.
Yeah, I think that could work out.
Okay. If you can ask me if he could tentatively be available for the 8th. If he wants to do the 22nd, I'd kind of like give you all a present and not have to meet on the 22nd if we can do it. So that's my thinking on that.
Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Yeah.
What else you got?
Other than that, it's really a discussion of the site visits that we had, and also the review of 215 and 217 West Main Street under old business.
Yep.
What about 48 Central?
I was going to say 48 Central.
Yeah, 48 Central too. Yes.
I'm going to click. There we go. You were all masked by my calendar. For some reason, Zoom wants to always be the focus, except for certain things get in front of it. It's kind of weird. 48 Central. It was actually quite informative for me. I don't know how the rest of the board felt. I apologize again to Ms. Murray for forgetting to remind her that we had confirmed it, but
I'm an adult. I should have remembered, but I'm blaming COVID.
These things happen. Anybody have any input about our 48 Central? Any comments?
My only thought was on all of these, we communicated by email with the thoughts. So we're going to turn those into a letter and put them in a file accordingly under each of those headings, or we're going to send a copy to the people that we met with.
You're talking about our comments after the meeting.
Correct.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
And so-called punch list, I guess you're creating a punch list in essence. And a copy of Charles. I think the other thing's important is we copy Charlie Schultz, who requested us to do that.
Yeah.
We have a record, we did this, we drop it in the file, we send a copy to Charlie and so forth, and a copy to the applicant or the owners, whoever they are.
Exactly. In a funny, yes, Mr. Krantz, excuse me for a moment.
I was just going to say.
Yeah, go ahead.
I noticed that after I submitted the email with the notes that I had received on the date, there were a couple of emails came in. I think one from Mark, one from Jeff with some additional comments, but I haven't gone back and assembled them all. So if you were to create a punch list, I would just encourage you to go through the email chain to be sure that all the comments are captured.
Yes.
I think there's probably 6 or 7, if I remember correctly. There was a handful plus 1 or 2.
Yes.
One of them that I was concerned about, and I'd be surprised if it doesn't happen. But given the vagaries we may have snow on Friday, which is seriously, there's 2 inches of snow on the forecast for Friday. I'll start my snowblower tomorrow just to make sure. But they're moving forward. They're getting financing. The other units are on they're marketing the other units right now. So whatever we can do to keep it moving forward will be very helpful. Anything we can do in our own in-house systems to be able to keep track of it would be very helpful also. Great. I'm going to talk about 217 West Main Street, if I may. The proponent for 217 West Main was unavailable to meet with us and have a site walk, so we didn't do it on the Saturday morning. It was put on DPW's list of to-dos, and in a conversation with the DPW, I said, gee, since I'm in town all the time now, if Dan's going to go out there, I'm more than happy to meet him on the property. It was never intended to be a quote unquote site walk. It's more intended to be the proponents got the property, the business is open, it's being used. What's left on the list that needs to be taken care of so that we can put a bow on this one and say it's done. And what brought that and what put a kind of a fine point on that was here we are dealing with a great company around the corner on Westford Road, who brought to us something that fell through the cracks way back when. So the intention there was to walk the site, take a look at it, see what's happened. I was curious about it. And there were a handful of items that have not been done. Again, they were handled by emails. I wrote an email with my thoughts. Dan corrected and added to my thoughts. He also went on and looked at a separate piece of property at the time. One of the questions we have is kind of, where does this fall? Who's the responsible party for checking on this? And going hand in glove with the list of projects we put together earlier this year. Don't exactly know who's responsible for what. I don't think we can solve that problem right here, but at least we're starting to capture and be in a position where we're in control of the information. And that's kind of the intent. So what we discovered over at 217 was that curbing, both granite curbing on the entranceway and the Cape Cod berm wasn't completed. There is a fence that is supposed to go around a detention area, a chain link fence that was not yet complete. We found a situation where he's got some animals digging in one of the detention areas that probably need to be taken care of because it may be impacting the detention, the way the riprap works. We found that the striping hadn't been done and signage hadn't been placed. And Mark, I don't know if you have the list in front of you. I don't have the email open, but I think that's off the top of my head pretty much what it was.
Yeah. Tree box filters, no striping on the parking lot.
Yeah.
No signage.
The tree box filters were built, whether or not the trees that were planted in them survived is a question. It's just hard to look at a young tree this time of year and figure out if it survived.
Right.
Right.
So we'll find out in this one.
There was not enough stormwater to keep them alive this year.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. That's right.
So Dan went on to take a look at 215 after we were done at 217, and he also had a couple of items there. I guess what I'd like to suggest is there are a lot of ways to handle this. We can invite the proponent into a meeting, ask them what's going on. We could send the proponent a letter, ask them when it's going to get done. How does the board feel about that, and what do you want to do?
I like the second thing you said. We visited. These are the things that we saw. We talked to our colleagues on the board. These are these areas of concern. We have a shared mutual interest in wrapping this up. We'd like to hear from you about what's your timetable. When is it going to be done?
I like the way you worded it, Mr. Krantz. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it's probably not a bad practice to get into for almost all the projects that we do, that we oversee. So,
Ken, did you have something?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Please.
I think we have to start the process through Charlie Schultz because he's the one who requested that the planning board be responsible for the final sign off. And if we check the conditions of the 217, and I'm trying to remember this, I think I did. There was a compromise made just for the benefit of other board members that Calvin pleaded that he would not, originally the idea was on 217 that the site would be completed before the first occupancy pit was given. And a compromise was reached that we would let him go ahead and phases and build the other buildings, but when the final building and the final occupancy came up for discussion, then we expected it to be complete. And it's pretty obvious that he pretty much took his time to get to where he is right now based on what's not completed. And 215, there were no conditions. It was before our time, or maybe one of us was here, I'm not sure. So the conditions were probably limited on 215. But by the same token, I always feel that the final responsibility belongs with the engineer who stamped the original drawings to provide a final letter, a letter of completion, call it, with a stamp on it that says the project was completed in accordance with design drawings provided to the Air Conservation Commission and the Air Planning Board. And that is the final. And before you get that, Charlie Schultz is basically floating around just trying to make a decision. So I agree that we, need to send a letter, but I'd like to clarify in the letter that, we're following up from a concern that our enforcement officer and building commissioner has. And as a result, we found these deficiencies. And then, until these deficiencies are completed, we can't respond to Mr. Schultz positively that the site is complete. Something
Yes.
along
Thank you. And if I may, you reminded me of something, Ken, when we were over at Central, and Central Ave came to us, and there was no requirement for a set of as-built drawings
right.
because it didn't exist yet in our bylaw. However, the proponent offered that he will be having a set of as-built built because he has to, and they will be made available to the town. So I just that goes on the list of 48 Central Mark, that he offered and agreed to provide as-builts. And what's nice about that is he's going to capture where the water shutoffs are because those buildings are sprinklered. They have fire suppression. But I agree with you, Mr. Diskin. I think it's a good idea to require a letter at the culmination of a project stating that it is substantially done in agreement with the plans.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, so for now,
Yes.
would you like me to address the letter to Mr. Schultz only, or to Mr. Schultz CCing Calvin Moore?
Well,
Regarding the 217 West Main, obviously.
I honestly, would it make sense to have a quick conversation with Charlie, tell him what we thought about and what we're discussing?
Right.
And
Yes.
have Mr. Schultz weigh in on it also?
Yes.
I mean, I think what we're trying to go is a situation where everyone can look at it and say, it's done. There's no question. The project was approved, it started, it was built, it's complete. And Mr. Schultz may actually have input on it. And he being the enforcement officer, making his life, making it something that he wants to do, makes it a good idea, in my eyes, makes it a good idea. It becomes a good idea. If he's not, can we help him with the letters? It's kind of a boilerplate letter.
Right.
Jonathan, I loved your wording. These are the items bulleted. Sincerely, the gang of four. I don't know who's going to sign it, but I think that's probably not a bad thing to move it along, Mark. And if you think about it, it gives us control.
Yes. Yep.
It puts planning in the driver's seat, which is something that's pretty important. I think that's something that was a challenge here in Ayer some years ago. Okay. Any other comments about our site walks, our site visits?
Yeah, I wanted to go back to 48 for a second. Let me see here.
I promised Cindy we'd get it done in a few minutes. I'm kidding, Mike. Kidding.
So
Ken, go.
the problem with 48, more so than the others, is that he came to us, or went to Charlie Schultz and said, I have a closing schedule for November 27th. And he reiterated that in the site walk. So something has to happen here quicker than maybe the other two to, afford him the paperwork that he needs so that we have to send something to Charlie, the reporting on the visit. And, signed by the chairman, I would guess.
Okay.
And a copy to Mr. Gianetta. But if we as a board feel comfortable that he's at the spot where we're going to let him get the certificate of occupancy, we have to say that, I think, in the letter or something along those lines.
No, and I agree. Thank you very much, Ken. I agree with that. I was still focused on the other project, but no, I think that's great. Mark, do you want? Do you feel it's something can you put a letter together in the next day or so to Mr. Gianella?
Oh, yes, I can put that letter together tomorrow.
That'd be great if you could do that. Why don't you do that and circulate a copy to the board? We will not discuss it by email, but please circulate a copy to the board. If anyone on the board has individual thoughts, please give Mark a call about it. Okay.
Yep, and I'll review
Okay.
Jonathan's notes and all the emails that related to that.
It's great to meet you on the property. Thank you very much for putting up with us, answering our questions. This is what we thought.
Yes.
This is what we had. This is our punch list.
Mhm.
And, give him a chance to respond. I have a feeling he'll respond to it immediately. Give him a chance to respond to it as quickly as possible so that he knows that we're moving forward. And it's, in some ways, Ken, it's very similar to what happened at 217. He wanted to start using the property.
Right.
So that's what happens. It's a 217. It's not housing, but it's individual units that can be used as they're built.
Yeah, the big difference here is we're talking about exactly the flip side, where his very first occupancy permit is being required versus
Exactly.
the very last occupancy permit is being required. So
Exactly.
this is the way to do it correctly,
Yeah.
is to be involved at the beginning so that prospective people using the property, don't get caught and we don't get caught, whatever. Thank you.
Exactly. Well, I want him to be able to have people buy it, get their financing, get their insurance, and move on.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Anything under new business?
Nope, I have nothing.
Okay. Next on our list is approve the meeting minutes for September 22nd, 2020 and October 13th, 2020. I was working on the ones from October 13th earlier this week. I did not. Did you? I don't remember getting a copy. Did I miss it?
What, October 13th?
No, September 22nd's minutes.
So they were sent out. I had a copy.
Thank you. Does anybody, then can I have a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of the Air Planning Board dated September 22nd, 2020.
I'll second it.
A motion and second. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none. Ms. Murray? You're on mute. 2020, we're all going to be known for the you're on mute.
Yeah.
Yes.
My kids would say it's glitchy and I can't quite get back to you right now.
You weren't a participant. You weren't a participant at that meeting on the 22nd.
That's what I was looking to confirm. I was not.
Thank you. Yes. That's also something guys, I'm struggling with dates this week. I actually had to go take a look at the October 13th meeting to make sure, Julie, that you were there because I was confusing the dates.
I wasn't there.
Okay. So Julie will abstain. Is that what you were saying, Julie? You abstain?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Krantz?
Aye.
Mr. Diskin?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. May I have a motion for October 13th, please?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of October 13th, 2020 of the Air Planning Board.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Murray?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Krantz?
Aye.
Mr. Diskin?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Thank you very much. I would like to say one thing for 20 seconds. It was great to see the faces last night at the town meeting, and it was great to see a really good town meeting, all things considered. I thought it went really, really well. And it was really nice from my perspective not to have been on the agenda last night on the warrant. Yay! I will, however, say that we're probably going to be on the warrant next year. In conversations with Mr. Schultz, unrelated to planning board business, he mentioned that he's got a bunch of things that he wants to see updated in our bylaw, and Mr. Diskin knows about some of them. And Mr. Schultz asked if he could put together a kind of a study committee, if you will, over the winter. And I think that's a great idea. So maybe asking somebody on the board who wants to sit down with Mr. Schultz and understand what's a struggle for a building inspector to enforce in our bylaw. Like, what's a setback if you have a overhang roof? It's actually a big issue in this town. With that being said, the other thing I want to talk about, and I know a couple members of the board are currently involved in this, But we passed the housing trust last night.
Yeah.
And we funded the housing trust last night. And this is fantastic. And the housing trust will be looking for trustees. Now, currently, I believe Mr. Diskin sits on the Affordable Housing
Housing Committee, which is
Committee,
an
yeah.
advisory committee only to the selectmen, basically.
This is true. Ms. Murray is on CPC, and they'll be looking for trustees. And
I don't like where this is going.
I offered to be a trustee if they would have me.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh, excellent.
Well, they're looking for people who have experience with housing, experience with the real estate industry, experience with financing, and things like that, and some experience with construction. To be honest with you, I'd love to. I worked with the Housing Trust in Belmont for a very brief period of time, way back when. But I just thought they are going to be looking for a member of the board to be a trustee.
Good.
Since I'm in a semi-working state, it makes sense.
Thank you.
And the last thing is, I've discussed with each one of you, and I know with Mark, that we'd like to have a board election. We are in October. We have 3 more meetings this year, and then a handful of meetings next year before elections. So, and I believe it's Julie and Ken are up for re-election.
Not sure, but I think so.
We're going to find out. Mark, could you? I'll look at the website and figure it out. Let's have a conversation offline about whether it makes sense to reorganize the board just before an election, because I know folks will have to think about whether they're going to run or not. Okay. I appreciate all that everyone has done
Oh, no way.
in the last year. I'm sorry.
Nothing.
Yeah. No, I understand how being on the planning board can really be a lot sometimes, especially given what's been happening. So I want to say to everybody on the board, really do appreciate all that you've done. And I'm really trying hard to step down from being chair. So we'll figure something out. Anything else from anybody else? With that, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a great evening, all.
Hi, thank you.